Hello, my name is Shay Alhay, and today I am going to be talking about the causes and consequences of the Enlightenment. First, I'm going to give you a little background on this period. The Enlightenment took place in the 18th century. It was a time of reason and questioning why things are the way they are. The leaders of the Enlightenment wanted to find a solution for human problems. The goal at this time was to make a better society where everyone is treated right. Some main issues of this time were political representation, man's natural rights, and finding a fit leader to rule. Problems that were occurring made change necessary. There were rulers who were absolutists, which is when the ruler has complete and sole power over its people. All over Europe, the lower class was treated horribly and had horrible conditions to live in, eat in, work in, and inadequate food supply. Leaders of the Enlightenment believed in the people. If the people had the means to learn information, they would have the ability to question things such as government and religion. Those things needed to be questioned because of the problems that were happening around Europe and the world. Information was provided for them by the encyclopedia, which was created by Diderot. Some key leaders of this big event were Voltaire and Rousseau. Voltaire had problems with nobility and was put in jail and then exiled from France. He then went to England, which was where his spark for the Enlightenment thinking started. When he got to England, he attended Sir Isaac Newton's funeral. Sir Isaac Newton was a man ahead of his time in science. He believed that math proved the solution to a perfect world. Voltaire witnessed religious tolerance while in Great Britain, which was rare for the time because of the Protestant Reformation, which split when the Protestants split from the Catholic Church, which created tension. Many countries didn't support Protestants and stayed Catholic, or the other way around. There was also Jews at the time, which were not welcomed anywhere and were exiled from most Europe countries. Religious groups had to flee the countries they are from, and most went to the United States, where religious tolerance was well known, which the United States was well known for. Behind the Enlightened, Voltaire believed the Enlightened absolutionism, which he explained as rulers needing limits to their power, but still being strong figureheads. He was also a pusher for natural rights. Rousseau was another controversial leader of the Enlightenment period, but he had the most lasting impact. He thought people created their own problems, which started with private property. He believed that private property was the cause for governments and class systems because people wanted other people to protect their private property, and then the size of private property created the class system. Even though he found government as a problem, he thought it was a necessary problem to keep things in order. He was also a big pusher for the natural rights, which most all Enlightenment leaders were. Finally, John Locke and his social contract were a product of the Enlightenment. In his social contract, he said if the government is no longer securing the rights of people, natural rights of people, people must refuse to obey in order to make change. Which is similar to the Constitution, which we'll get into later. So that is a background of the Enlightenment. Now for the causes and consequences of the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment had many big events happen to influence this period. The first the Renaissance. The Renaissance was a time of rediscovery of Greek and Roman culture that influenced European literature and art. It caused the Enlightenment because it made people start questioning the world and why things are the way they are. Another cause of the Enlightenment was the exploration and settling of the New World. European nations colonizing the Americas brought in tons of revenues for the countries. This helped cause the Enlightenment because of the extra money of the nations was able to help sponsor scholars learning about science and literature, which made them into the Enlightenment thinkers they were, that led this movement. The Protestant Reformation contributed to the Enlightenment because the splitting of the Catholic Church caused questioning of one, the authority of the church officials, and two, getting out from under the church officials. Religion was still very, very important to these Protestants, but they did not believe what the Catholic Church was doing was right. Another cause of the Enlightenment was the scientific revolution. During this period, which took place at the end of the Renaissance, new ideas were formulating and the beginning of modern science was born. Some of these scientists that are well known and took place during this time were Galileo, Copernicus, and Michelangelo. All of these events led up to the Enlightenment. Its consequences, which sounds like a bad word, so I'm going to use effects, were revolutions. During this time period of new thinking and reasoning, four very important revolutions happened. The first, which I think is the most important, is the American Revolution. The American Revolution took place because the colonies wanted their independence from Great Britain. Therefore, they started a war, and if Britain won, the colonies wouldn't have become what they are today. But if the colonies won, they had their independence. In 1776, the colonies won and became the United States of America. They wrote up two very important documents that reflected the Enlightenment thinking at its best: the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. In these works of writings, all political ideas, such as separation of state, natural rights, the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, democracy, and the independence of individuals, were taken from the Enlightenment period. The American Revolution caused a domino effect of revolutions. Soon after, the French Revolution took place, inspired by the American Revolution, because the French helped the Americans win against Britain. During this revolution, the peasants and serfs of France fought against the nobility for a better, fairer system of government. It worked for little until Napoleon took over and became a dictator. The Haitian Revolution was the same concept of the American Revolution. They wanted independence from France. They also made a work of writing that reflected some Enlightenment ideas known as Louverture's Haitian Constitution. It did not have separation of church and state or democracy, but a big thing it had was natural rights for men, including people of color, which was very, very rare for the time. And lastly, the Latin American Revolution. At the end of the 18th century was when Latin Americans gained their independence from France and Portugal. These revolutions were very important to history and how the world is today. The Enlightenment inspired these things to happen and helped shape society and science how it is. I acquired this information from the textbook, The Making of the West, by Lynn Hunt. Louverture's Haitian Constitution from the link Dr. Dean provided, and 3 peer-reviewed scholarly articles, The Church and the Effects of Post-Secular Christianity by Jacob Byers, Berlin and Florence at the Age of Enlightenment by Ulrich Weyer, and Voltaire by Robert Dinan. Thank you.